So in this video, let's take a look at the blending example, simple example that we have used in the last video and get into the details of how Tableau is actually doing this. What's the difference between blending and join? Just one more time to reiterate. This is something I've told you at the last video itself. Join is at the data source level, whereas blending is done at the report level. Yeah. So when you have to do blending, Tableau literally queries the database to build the reports that you want, and then Tableau does the work of a database in actually joining these two reports. So blending works like this. So it takes report 1, which is a query from the database, and the report 1 comes out nicely. Then Tableau makes another query to get report 2. Then it does the work of left outer join. You already know how left outer join really works. Then, unlike join, blending summarizes the right side. So if you have more than one record that is coming on the right hand side, in case of a join, it will actually duplicate the left hand side. Whereas in case of a blending, it will put an aggregation operator. By default, it's a sum and it will aggregate. If you have text or something, it's not gonna allow you to bring it without aggregation. So you will see as one of the frustrating issues with blending. But yeah, so those are the three. This video is a little bit a deep dive. Generally, I like to avoid in this series to get into the details of how things work. But blending is one very important thing because it provides an alternative to a lot of nice use cases where join is not practical. The second, blending is where even me, when I started, I think 4 or 5 years back in Tableau, I've encountered a lot of problems. And even now when I get an error in blending, it takes a lot of time for me to really understand what's going on. Yeah. And I see this frustration with a lot of new users to understand. So that's why I'm getting into the detail. So what report goes on the left? As I said, what is report 1? What is report 2? In case of a join, we visually, whatever we bring first to the data pan, so that becomes the left side, right? So here, how does Tableau determine that? The first field on the report. So when you have an empty report, and if you first bring any field by double click on drag and drop, that defines the left side. That is the primary data source. Tableau gives a blue tick whenever you bring any field on any report. So that's the default blue tick. That is the primary data source. In other words, left side. The other data source, now you can click on another data source and then bring any other field that gets an orange tick to indicate this is a secondary data source. The chain icon is used for identifying join class. As we said, this is a join. So we need to tell Tableau how it should match up. If the same names are used in both the reports, Tableau will automatically put the linking icon. If the names are different, you either have to rename or you have to go through a more manual way of defining this. So enough with the theory, let's see how it works in Tableau. So here is the last example we have seen. As you can see, blue indicates what went on the left hand side. So this time department master went on the left hand side, and then the orange tick indicates the right hand side. The whole pane is given orange just as a visual indication, and then since department is the same field with the same spelling, it gave this option, and we used this to basically link. So that was the thing. So now let's reconstruct this from a join perspective, understand how it works. So what I'm gonna do is, so first, what is the report 1? So when if we just go back and redo this example. So first I started off with department master, right? So I started off with, let's say, head, and then I went to, so this becomes the first left side data source. Now I went to the right hand side and then I used employee count. Now this becomes the right hand side, but there's no relationship, so you see the same value. So I use this as the linking field. Now we got this correct values. Yeah. So now, so how does really Tableau do this work of basically join? So the first report is, it goes like this. So it goes and generates whatever field is used in the report. So if you go here, we use head, but we do not really use department here, but then department is used for linking. So unless the report has the department, it will not be able to do linking. So it picks up that field. From data source 1, which is department master, it generates this report, report 1. And then it goes to data source 2, where we are basically using again department and employee count, and it picks up these two reports. So now let's come back and bring this. So this is how it's gonna work. So it's gonna bring this on the left hand side and this on the right hand side. and then it is basically do a left outer join. That means Steve Jobs will be kept even when there is no match, and all other things when it is matched they will be brought here. Yeah, so I exported all of these things here. So in Excel, this is the report 1 and this is the report 2. As you can see, report 1 and report 2. So I'm going to bring this into Tableau and then see how basically to do the join. So I'm going to bring report 1 into Tableau. So report 1 is fine. So now I'm going to bring report 2. Where you have a CSV, all the other files in CSVs in the folder are listed for us to do a join. So we want to do a join. So by default, the inner join will drop Steve Jobs, right? So we will define left. So you could see that this is picking up. And this is the data source now that Tableau has access to when it is doing the blending, right? So now let's basically go and generate the report using this data source. As we can see, head, department and employee count, and then let's add totals. This is remove these subtotals. Yeah, this is how it works, and it will work without having department also, because department is anyway underlying, it is there and it can be used up. This is how blending works exactly. Yeah. So whenever you have a situation where you do not understand how blending works, this is what I would recommend. Try to determine what is your report 1, meaning which is the first field that you put on the report, and what is your report 2, which is the second field. Pick all the fields that you have anywhere in this report. It could be in the marks, it could be in any of these things. And then also pick up all the fields that are used as linking fields. Yeah, so if you do not have the same names, what options do you have? So one option is you can rename, other option is you can go here, you have this option called edit relationships, where you could go and basically pick up for define these relationships. What is the primary data source and what is the secondary data source? If you do a little bit of manual, you would be able to understand how it works. But pretty much I would like, if I'm doing blending, I would like to keep the names the same, yeah, by editing or bringing them in. So that's all with respect to blending.